Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Whole Life Entrepreneurship. I'm Adam Anderson, and with me as always,
Carrie Anderson.
Carrie is suffering a wicked bad headache. We have storms coming in, and she's better than any barometer, right? If she's like, oh, I've got the vapors. Wait, that's something different.
I think it is.
Yeah. Anyway, she can detect weather.
Yeah. I tend to get pretty moderate to severe barometric pressure headaches. And so here in the South, we get a lot of thunderstorms like every afternoon. So it's always a rough season for me. But we have not really been on the community this week. And we're sorry. But
are we?
We're not sorry.
It's Happy Birthday America Week.
It is.
And we've been busy celebrating America.
Yes.
And all the things that are. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it did give us some time after Adam's been on a very long traveling streak for us to kind of clean house and get our house back in order. I mean, not just
She means
not
literally.
just figuratively, but literally. There's so many things that I cannot do without you here. So I'm just like waiting and planning, and I have to kind of take those opportunities while I have him here because he's gone again this week. So
I mean,
are you gone 3 days of the week this week?
but I'm not gone 5. Ha ha! See?
So there's that. But it's been a really, really busy season, and I mean, all seasons are busy, right? But, oh, look.
Beep. I waved at somebody.
Oh, it's Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. We're waving at you, I think. So
Like grandparents. Oh, how's this here telephone thing work? You push it and you go like beep, 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 beep. Anyway, good times.
Exactly. Well, so again, we were talking earlier about when we were talking about doing this live and sort of explaining the fact that we'd sort of taken the week off for time as a family, time as a couple, to hang out with our friends. We were able to kind of talk a little bit more about how fortunate we are and how blessed we are to be able to, again, it was Independence Day, so it kind of all tied in well, right? How blessed we are to be able to live this lifestyle. I talk a lot specifically about all of the challenges, but, maybe we don't give enough credit to the fact that, this lifestyle is kind of awesome.
Yeah, I heard a really cool thing, and I wish I would have written down where I heard it from. It said that, in a storm, some people build shelters and other people build windmills, right? And the fact that we are lucky enough to go build windmills, by the way, U.S. beat Netherlands today in the World Cup soccer, so windmills.
Again, it's just like
All over the place. So, yeah, and so we are super lucky because we get to build windmills and we get to stand in this raging storm that is so exciting and just wonderful and terrifying, and it's great. So, yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. Well, and, we have
So there's still fireworks going off and we have animals everywhere who are like trying to get in.
They're like freaking out. Go fix it, Adam.
All right, keep going. Let's get moving.
See, this is the bad thing about a Facebook Live, that life happens and there's not a whole lot we can do about it.
Word.
In fact, we were talking to our video editing guy. We were like, we want you to go through all of the videos and just come up with a compilation of how many times our kids stick their head in the door and they're like, hey, that's a cat. She's like in the corner over here. She's ready for her debut on Facebook Live. So anyway, again, with the thanking you for the lifestyle that this has afforded us. I think it's very, very unique and very special, and I can't imagine how life would be without it. In fact, we had a moment this week where we had a little bit of an entrepreneurial panic attack.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want
You
to
gotta
talk about it.
talk about it.
Yeah, so I actually was posting a bunch of my old videos to a new blog, and I have this whole thing about financial planning and personal financial statements. And I laughed and laughed as I was not doing any of the things that I'm telling people to do. We had a meeting with our financial planner, and he's like, gosh, guys, you have a lot of money that is in assets. This is from the sale of the company, you have all this stuff, and as you're supposed to, you deployed a lot of capital. Congratulations, on paper, you're wealthy. Cash-wise, you're beginning to hurt. It's like, and I know that you're still going to be making some money from the sale of the company coming in, but you haven't generated any money. You haven't built any cash flow.
Yeah.
And that's by design. Honestly, we are working, we're building the engine, the cars aren't ready
We
to run.
knew all of that. This is not a surprise to us. We had a couple of choices. We had a couple of roads we could take.
Yeah, we're
This
building
is
the
one
windmill,
we
right?
knew we were going to be on.
We're doing it.
We're doing it.
But after he left, I was like, super panicked. Like, you're right. We haven't gotten any money in a while. I really need to go out there and do this thing. I got to generate cash.
What was the next thing you said?
What?
I should go and get a job
Well,
and work for somebody.
Did not say that.
You did
Next.
say that, and I'm like, woo, then we really must be having to come apart in the old noodle if
You know
he's
what?
saying that.
Look, here's the thing.
He could not work for another person if his very life depended on it.
Where I was going is sometimes it's just easy to surrender an employee up. It's so easy to be like, all right, I'll hire a headhunter, and I'll show up and I'll work on that one thing that I'm supposed to do. And honestly, if you want to make a lot of money, be an employee. Employees make bank. Entrepreneurs take risks and live from exit to exit, and it's just, So anyway, part of me was like, let's throw in the towel. I'm exhausted. I'm mentally exhausted. I know that we're building the engines, but man, wouldn't it be cool to have like a recurring cash coming in that you can kind of count on? And I'm like, yeah, but that'll set me up for failure. That's not what I'm here to do. That's not what I'm all about. And so I got to put into practice. If you watched last week's episode of Whole Life Entrepreneurship, we talked about fear. And man, was I in the middle of it. I was in the middle of fear. So I did some fearscaping. I did some worst case scenarios. And Carrie was like, man, worst case scenario, we get a trailer and we live on my mom's horse property. And we pull these kids out of school. And worst case scenario, you'll get it right the next time. And I was like, oh, baby.
Well, that's why I guess I was a little bit shocked because I was not worried. I could see you spinning out. I don't know if we just play this back and forth game where if you see me spinning out, you try and be rational.
You know what really got me?
What?
The story I was telling myself during that financial planning meeting where our financial planner was looking across the table at you saying, you have no money coming in. This is not good. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he was saying. The story I was telling myself was, when he leaves, she's going to go crazy, and I'm going to have to deal with a panicked wife. And what can I say
I will agree
to alleviate that panic? And I began spinning all that up, and that's super disrespectful. It's been a long journey, right? She's seen this stuff a lot, but because of previous experiences, so I feel like I underestimated, undervalued, and I missed an opportunity to trust. However, I will give myself bonus points. Immediately afterwards, I got super open and vulnerable and told you all about what I was going through.
Yeah.
So, that kind of brings us to like being self-aware of it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be frustrated.
Yeah,
it's
see,
okay
that's
to
what
do all
I
that.
want everybody to really understand. It's not going away. You're not. It's just a friend that you're gonna have with you that you're gonna have to just learn to live with for forever. It makes no sense to pretend that it's not there, that it's something that it's not.
If it was a destination, wouldn't that be cool? I've reached self-awareness. I've reached self-awareness, and now I never have to worry about being afraid or alone or stressed again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if it's not one thing, then it's another thing that's gonna be sort of a fear trigger. But isn't it interesting now that you know
Yeah.
what's happening while it's happening?
Yeah.
That's what I was saying last week about, it's a weird thing when you teach yourself to meditate, because what you're doing is listening to your body, and it's not a skill that comes naturally. So when my heart starts racing, when I start getting a lump in my throat, when my face starts getting real hot, or my ears start burning, and I start...
Or she pulls a knife. She doesn't do that.
I mean, not this week, but I'm telling you, there are some physical responses that now I can really read and understand what's happening to me before I actually get into it. And even with in situations with our adolescent age.
See, I was about to jump in and give you a super compliment, because where I really see that happening is how you don't kill our preteen.
Yeah, because she loves to goad me.
Oh, yeah.
She loves it.
She's trying this thing called sarcasm. And she thinks that if Daddy says it, she can say it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of things that Daddy says. So.
It's a process.
So self-awareness.
Yeah. Well, it's like...
Well, we're coming into a little bit more talk about self-awareness going forward. You yourself have been working on a program. Do you want to talk a little bit about your self-awareness program?
I would be so happy to talk about that. Right. So one of the things that I'm working on is the whole premise that the number one cybersecurity threat facing the world is the nerd's inability to talk to human beings about risk. Right? We've been hacked. Well, who are you going to tell? Fun fact, everyone knows Target got hacked, and everyone lost a whole bunch of credit cards. And if you don't, fun story, they got hacked through their air conditioning. Well, they learned about it in November, but the guy looking at the alerts didn't raise it up in an effective way.
Didn't escalate it.
And it didn't get recognized again until December. So it's already been going on months, but a whole nother month of breaches happening. So I'm really into this new thing called psychological safety. Psychological safety in the marriage.
Now, can I ask a question?
I wish you would.
Did he not tell because he didn't know how? There wasn't a reporting system? Or
Great
did
question.
he not tell because of shame for having made a mistake?
No, this is just the dude looking at the alerts. So what happens inside of businesses and also families is that when communication has friction and it doesn't flow in the right kind of way, then communication slows down or doesn't happen at all. And the more complex the organization, the more the impact that friction has if it's systemic throughout the whole organization. So in a marriage, if we're angry at each other or we have communication issues and something's going on with one of our kids or going on with the business or going on with a family member, it's going to be less likely that we're going to have an open communication about that problem. And the same thing's true about business. So I am on a mission to teach emotional intelligence, servant leadership, and conflict resolution to cyber nerds. And it turns out it does zero good to teach the guy who's on the keyboard all those skills if that person's manager doesn't know anything about it, and the director and the VP. So I'm starting with CIOs and their direct reports, their VPs of the various pillars of IT. And so I'm going to be up in doing a retreat, a 3-day retreat,
in North Carolina,
teaching all that stuff. And so
very cool.
It's just very interesting how it all comes back down to self-awareness, because emotional intelligence is all about understanding how you're seeing yourself and how other people see you, and being self-aware and being self-da-da-da-da. But self-awareness, when you dive into that self-awareness thing, it really is understanding who you are, accepting who you are so that you can then do stuff, and also being open to how other people around you see you.
Well, I was about to say, self-awareness, I think, is just the first step, because outside awareness, I mean, how many people do you know that are completely oblivious to the needs, wants, desires of the people around them?
Well, it's even worse. They're oblivious, but they're also, men in particularly think they are far more attractive than they are. If you ask men, most of them rate themselves a full 2 to 3 points higher on a scale from 1 to 10.
So what are you?
I'm a 10, baby. I'm rock solid. You're a lucky woman.
Yes, I am.
But everyone thinks they're...
Oh, there's our clock.
Yep. So the data shows that the less capable you are, the more confident you are, and the more capable you are, the more less confident you are. It's a real weird scale,
Inverse
which explains
reaction.
why, you know, the Peter Principle works. We keep promoting the least capable all the way up until they ruin the company. You got to be careful about that. Anyway, so self-awareness is also not being able to know how others perceive you or recognizing your own skill sets.
Yeah.
So,
How big of an issue is this, do you
huge.
think?
I think it's the number one. It literally is the thing that is causing the most issues on the planet Earth is lack of self-awareness. Because lack of self-awareness leads to not being able to connect with people in an authentic way, which leads to the epidemic of loneliness, which leads to people building isolation in tribes and getting and fitting in wherever they possibly can, which causes conflict because there's no communication.
Right.
And, you know, if I could wave a magic wand and help people get a little bit better at self-awareness, I feel like that would just move the needle in a really significant way for how the world works.
You know what was an interesting observation for me?
Tell me.
Was when our son preferred to play with his online friends, would choose playing with online friends over real life friends.
Well, see, that's what you say there I have an issue with. Online friends are real life friends.
Yeah.
There's been...
In-person friends, I'll say it that way.
One of the guys we're trying to get
Face-to-face.
on the summit we have coming up.
I didn't say it was wrong, by the way.
Sure.
I said it was an interesting observation.
Well, my thing was the words, right? Real life friends. But I get what you mean. It was...
In person.
You know, there is
Right.
like serious studies out there now that support online communities like
Yes.
that one that we're developing here, as well as the online communities of video games are just as authentic and fulfilling as hanging out in a room full of folks.
Right.
It depends how you're wired. I like hanging out with a room full of folks. It's easier to tell jokes that way sometimes. But anyway, yeah. So what was fascinating about that to you?
I just was just dumbfounded because some of these people he's never met in real life. He doesn't know what they look like. He only has heard their voices.
Yeah.
And he would choose that at such a young age, too. That was another thing that was a little like, wow. But again, I don't think it's wrong or bad. I just find it interesting. And I wonder what barriers those kinds of relationships have, but also what it enables. Because, like, in this situation with whole life entrepreneurship, we get to interact with people from all over the world.
Yeah.
Not just the people in our backyard. So, I mean, just the reach that we could have this way is fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's going to be very interesting, I think, for the next generation to see where that goes.
Well, and you bring up a solid point, and I think you can swing back around to self-awareness, that you have to be aware of how you are doing relationships and how these relationships function inside your life. And you have to know about you, because some people absolutely need a face-to-face relationship with a human being right there, right? And then some folks can, like for me, for example, I get, if you're my buddy, I want to do a project with you. I want to go on an adventure with you. I want to do a thing with you. So playing online video games with my boy is a fantastic way for us to go on an adventure together and we bond. So I do really, really well with that kind of stuff. You don't want to have surface level chit chat. It's not about a project. It's about sitting down and having a 3-hour deep conversation.
Well, that's what's so interesting. So our niece, if she would get angry at someone, she would just unfriend them on Facebook. Even if she still went to school with them, it was like she was still able to
basic.
kind of ghost them. And like you get angry with someone, instead of understanding how to interact and how to have that connection that you can then repair, you just
Sounds like work.
drop it and move on with your life. It's just a very, very interesting way to go about things. And so I don't know. That's not enabling self-awareness. Why are you looking at me like that?
You're pretty.
Stop, you're creeping
You're
me
just
out.
pretty. I was just looking at you, you're like saying smart stuff, and I'm like, she's smart. She's pretty.
All right,
Lucky.
guys. Well, we will definitely be back into it this week. We are ready and willing to talk about our summit coming up. Things are solidifying very quickly. That is very, very exciting. We'll tell you a little bit more. I think we'll be able to probably do that this week. Tell you a little bit more about what to expect from our Whole Life Entrepreneurship Virtual Summit.
Yes, and if you want to learn a little bit more about self-awareness, I am in the middle of reading a fantastic book called Insight. We can link it somewhere, sure. I'm sure. And it's I gotta encourage you to take some time and really reflect on, what's going on with yourself, self-awareness. Take some time to audit your belief system, what's true versus fact, and just kind of lean into that again and just spend some time, questioning some stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Sounds like fun.
Sounds awesome.
Should do it on a date and
introspection.
Hang out with your spouse or your significant other and be like, you're wrong.
No, if anything, my hope for Whole Life Entrepreneurship is that it just sparks some interesting conversations. That's the whole purpose of all of this, is it just continued growth together and separately.
We should have Whole Life Entrepreneurial brass knuckles so that when you can't talk anymore, that's stupid.
That's not the stupidest thing that's been said today.
Bye.
Bye, guys.